All right, ladies and gentlemen, people of Sheriff County, and whoever else is watching, it's Ricky Brown. I just wanted to make a video to talk about community policing and proactiveness in the civilian body. Right. This isn't a hit on police or anything like that. Like I think police are necessary. I'm grateful for them. I just think there's some things that need to be changed. And one thing I think people misunderstand about police is that, by and large, at least nowadays, police are reactionary, right? Calling the police, calling 911 for help is an action that is taken after a situation occurs, right? Me personally, I've had situations where, like, I've had people in my house and I called the sheriff's department. It took them almost an hour to get there, things of that nature, right? And then when they showed up, they blamed me and said I was just trying to make an insurance claim or some nonsense, even though nothing was stolen because I chased the guy out of my house. But that's not what I'm talking about. So my point with saying that the cops, calling the cops, is reactionary and it's an after the event situation, right? Is because that's largely what happens. Something happens. Most people are shocked and don't know what to do, and they kind of freeze up in the situation, and then after the fact, or after it dawns on them, then they call the police, and by then it's almost too late, right? One thing that got me talking about this was watching a video where I seen somebody had been talking about the mock active shooter drill and how long it took for the sheriff's department to respond to that, and I thought that was actually kind of shocking that it took so long for the response. I'd like to rewatch that again just to make sure I have that right, but I think it was like 10 minutes. That's a long time, right? That's a very long time. It's a disgusting amount of time, to be honest with you. And that got me thinking, right? Calling the police is an afterthought. I've said this already. Moving on to the next point. It's on the civilian body, the citizens of our communities, to be proactive, right? To be reactionary in the moment, not after the fact, right? If something happens or something's out of place, you just don't think something's right with a situation, don't worry about like offending somebody or things of that nature, because you know what? You'll get over it. Whoever you offend, right? They'll get over it. People might try to cast you in a bad light and say, oh, you're just judging that person based on not knowing anything about them, or they don't look like they fit in the scenario or whatever. Screw that. If something don't look right, it's probably because it's not. There's something to be said about trusting our gut instinct, because there's something within our brains and within our bodies that just knows when a situation isn't right, when something's out of place, and when something's not going the way it's supposed to go, right? So me personally, I try to be proactive in situations, not reactionary. Like, I try to be aware of my surroundings. I try to pay attention to, in my community, I try to pay attention to what vehicles are normally in the area, what cars I see about town all the time, who may be in those vehicles. I don't so much really care. It's just things that my brain cues in on. So when I notice something or when I see something that's not normal to my area, it triggers something in my brain that goes, well, pay attention to that, because that's unique and it's something you don't normally see, right? And 95% of the time, it can just be dismissed. It's it's someone traveling through, or it's whatever, right? It's nothing. But the important part is the but. That 5% or less, whatever it is, where it could be that my brain noticed something that I wasn't really aware that I had noticed, or I just had a feeling like something's not right, and I react to that instead of just waiting to see what's going to happen. Those instances have been good, right? The outcome has been great. Like, for instance, I lived in La Crosse a long time ago, and I seen a weird flicker of light in one of the apartments above where I was living or whatever, and it just didn't seem like it looked like a candle, but it wasn't quite sure. And something told me, like, I've never seen a candle lit in there before, so I should go up and check. So I went up and checked, and the door was hot. So I wasn't thinking clearly, but I kicked the door. There was nobody in there, but the room was on fire. Some wiring had caught on fire or whatever. When the fire department showed up, they were pretty mad. I didn't know anything about backdraft or whatever, where like if you kick a door, the flames come out, suck the air out of your lung. I don't know nothing about none of that. I just was doing what instinctually I thought I should do, right? Um, to try to save somebody because I knew something wasn't right, and I reacted to it and got ahead of it and dealt with the consequences after the fact. So consequences with being proactive. Sometimes, unfortunately, maybe if we are proactive in a situation, something happens, right? Like you see a guy in the area who you don't know, or someone's out late at night, things of that nature. Something happens, right? You get in the middle of it, you get involved, you confront them or do whatever, things happen, and you have to deal with consequences. Well, me personally, I would rather deal with trusting a jury of people who are going to hear my side of it and hear me say, like, well, these are the reasons I took action and I stepped in and I did this and I didn't just wait for something to happen and then call the police and wait for it to happen. I would rather trust that 12 panel of people to hear my side and understand that I'm a human being who did a human thing instead of just wait, let something bad happen, and then now that's on my conscience and I could have stopped it. And actually, legally, there is a law that says you can't just wait and let something happen. You have to try to stop it. I don't know the law exactly, but I do know there is a law in the books. It's like a bystander law or something of that nature, right? Good Samaritan law or some nonsense. But me personally, I try to be proactive. That's what the whole live thing was about when I jumped on dude in the park. I didn't jump on him when I confronted him in the park, I should say. Let me correct myself. I don't want people to sound. I don't want it to sound like I'm saying I beat him up or not, because I didn't say that. But so yeah, I think as a community we need to be more proactive, and it's not that the cops are ineffective, or it's just that the majority of the time they come after the fact and they're responsible for the cleanup and not the prevention of something, which is a duty of us as citizens of our community to prevent harm from coming to those in our community who can't prevent it themselves or who are unaware of it, right? And that's part of what drives me to do what I'm doing, is to be proactive and get ahead of situations before they happen, and then the cops have to come clean up the mess. So yeah, I want to try to encourage everybody to be more proactive, pay better attention to things, keep an eye out for things that just don't seem right. Part of this is being driven by the No Kings protest that we have coming tomorrow in Wautoma, and we see how this stuff goes. All these anti-Trump rallies and all this stuff, all this anti-ICE stuff, it gets violent, and it gets violent on that side of the aisle, the anti-side of the aisle. It's never the people who are supportive of the laws or people who are supportive of the government doing what the government's supposed to do. It's always the people who are against it. They get violent and act out of pocket. And with that coming up, I just want to remind everybody, just be vigilant, right? That's our duty as citizens in order to pay our debt to our society. Taxes are bullshit, but our duty is to our fellow citizen, I think, right? And it's just incumbent upon us to be proactive and be ahead of anything that could happen, and just not rely on the police to come in after the fact and clean up the mess when we could have done something to stop it to begin with. So I hope that makes sense. I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about, and hopefully y'all have a good night.